piece from the MartianChronicles. Captain John Black is the leader of an expedition to Mars, and when the rocket lands in a small American town, he's suspicious. However, his crew convinces him to explore, and they find themselves greeted by long-lost friends and family. Captain John Black soon finds himself in the home of his parents and brother. However, he suspects that things may not be as they appear. The MartianChronicles by Ray Bradbury. He lay peacefully, letting his thoughts float. For the first time, the stress of the day was moved aside. He could think logically now. How was all this made? And why? For what purpose? Out of the goodness of some divine intervention? Was God, then, really that thoughtful of his children? How? And why? And what for? He let all kinds of new theories drop in lazy pebbles down through his mind, turning, throwing out dull flashes of light. Mom, Dad, Edward, Mars, Earth, Mars, Martians. Who had lived here 1,000 years ago on Mars? Martians? Or had this always been like the way it was today? Martians. He repeated the word idly, inwardly. He laughed out loud almost. He had the most ridiculous theory quite suddenly. It gave him kind of a chill. There was nothing really to consider, of course. Highly improbable. Silly. Forget it. Ridiculous. But, he thought, just suppose. Just suppose now that there were Martians living on Mars, and they saw our ship coming and saw us inside our ship and hated us. Suppose now, just for the hell of it, that they wanted to destroy us as invaders, as unwanted ones, and they wanted to do it in a very clever way. Well, what would the best weapon be that a Martian can use against Earthmen with atomic weapons? The answer was interesting. Telepathy, hypnosis, memory, and imagination. Suppose all of these houses aren't real at all. This bed not real, but only figments of my own imagination, given substance by telepathy and hypnosis through the Martians, thought Captain John Black. Suppose all of these houses are really some other shape, a Martian shape, but by playing on my desires and wants, it made it seem like my old hometown, my old house to lull me out of my suspicions. What better way to fool a man, using his own mother and father as bait? And suppose those two people in the next room asleep are not my mother and father at all, but two Martians, incredibly brilliant with the ability to keep me under this dreaming hypnosis all the time. And wouldn't it be horrible and terrifying to discover that this was part of some great clever plan to divide and conquer us and kill us? Sometime in the night, perhaps, my brother, here asleep, will change form, melt, shift into another thing. A terrible thing. Martian. It would be very simple for him to just turn over in bed and put a knife in my heart. His hands were shaking under the covers. His body was cold. Suddenly it was not theory. Suddenly he was very afraid. He lifted himself in bed and listened. The night was very quiet. The music had stopped. The wind had died. His brother lay sleeping beside him. Carefully he lifted the covers, rolled them back. He slipped from bed and was walking gently across the room when his brother's voice said, "Where are you going?" "What?" His brother's voice was quite cold. "I said, where do you think you're going?" "For a drink of water? But you're not thirsty. Yes, I am. No, you're not. Captain John Black broke and ran across the room. He screamed twice. He never reached the door.